Namaskar, Adab, Shastra Akal और Khushamdeed. Very good evening to all of you people. This is your master DJ Harsham who is going to talk about going to Canada option. So, Canada is facing a huge crisis of housing, a huge crisis of job, and a big crisis of international migrants. So, right now, whether, very sorry for this. So, right now, whether you guys good or not, is this crisis hampering every length and breadth of Canada, or there are selected number of people or selected type of audience who is being impacted by this big devastation. Now let's see that in this video, and I'm going to present the entire detail about moving to Canada option and whether it is good or not. So let's see and let's start the video. But before starting, if you have not subscribed to the channel, kindly subscribe to the channel because you'll get a lot of meaningful content here which would be very much helpful for you in shaping your decisions for your tomorrow. Here we get into the video. So first of all, there has been a report which says that around 40% of the total were from Indian. Like in 2022, 2.26 lakh students out of 5.5 lakh international students were Indian. So in Canada, in the year 2022, this data was released. In fact, 2024 data is also there. In 2022, 2.26 lakh students were Indian out of all 5.5 lakh students who went to Canada. This is a massive amount of 40% Indian students there. In fact, there has been common phrases that Canada is mini India now. At every corner, nooks and corners of the country, you would see Indian, you would see almost at every place you will find at least one Indian. That is the current scenario of Canada, with which even Canada is very much tensed, very much thinking state, and Canada is not so happy with this. I'll show you why. Now moving forward, so is going to Canada is a good option? Let's see here. So first of all, the first reason why it is not good, that there is a huge crunch of part-time job. See, whenever a student goes to any foreign country for studies, a student goes there with a mindset or a thought process that I'll be working somewhere in a part-time scenario, and hence I'll be able to manage my own expenses so that the parents does not have to bother that much. That is how most of the, in fact 90% of the crowd move to abroad, and that is how they manage their expenses. But in Canada, this is completely reversed. So in Canada, what is happening? Canadian dream is turning into an unimaginable nightmare for Indians. Behind this is a housing crisis and a lack of part-time jobs that students bank upon to sustain themselves thousands of kilometers away from their home. Now moving forward, this is the first reason. Second, since there is so much huge influx of students in Canada, there is a huge crisis on housing. People are not able to find houses because Canada was never imagined to have so many people coming in such a short period of time, and that is why the housing infrastructure, the supplies, the water, the electricity, the food, that has not been thought in that fashion. Because just imagine that someday, even in your house, if somehow 5 people come without giving any notice, it becomes very troubling and it becomes very painful for you to manage those 5 people in your house. Just imagine how a country would be managing 2.25 lakh students just from one country, and that too in such a short period of time. So that is why housing crisis is there. Next, in this housing crisis, what is happening? First of all, increasing immigrant population. Thereafter, in last year, 50 to 100 students, mostly Indian, at Canada or college in North Bay, Ontario, Canada, found themselves homeless. So in fact, these are those students who have got an admission in a good college. They got a admission letter, they got entire visa process done. They moved from India, they went there, but now they are even not able to find a home. Forget about paying high. They are even ready to pay high, but they are not able to find any home in that entire city. And that is really troubling. Now, shortfall of at least 3,45,000 housing units. Can you just imagine? See the number, shortfall of these many number of houses in Canada. And that is really troubling. Now, moving forward, Trudeau government decision to restrict the intake of foreign students for 2 years is also to address the pressure on housing and healthcare. So in fact, I'll take this point in the coming slides also, that even government in Canada is now taking steep measures, the strict measures you can say, to curtail the intake of students, to curtail the immigrant population, and hence Canada has stopped giving PR, Canada has stopped giving visas, and Canada is it's very tough to get into Canada right now because there is a huge immigrant population, immigrant crisis there going on in Canada. Now, moving forward, and in fact, the source of this information is from India Today. You can even read out the articles there. Now, moving forward, 3,000 students line up for a waiter and servant job. This news is making a lot of circles in the entire social media. What happened that there was a video shared on social media where there were around 3,000 people. It's not 3, it's not 30, it's not 300. There were 3,000 people who were waiting in a line to get interviewed for a job of waiter and servant outside a restaurant, outside a cafe in Canada. This video went viral on internet, people talking about the situation, the real problem in Canada. Can you just imagine that people who have moved out of their country to some another country for in the dream of some good job, good placements, good studies, good opportunities, they are waiting outside cafe, outside restaurant for the job of waiter, and that too how many people? 3,000 people. That is the current scenario of Canada right now. Now, moving forward, and 3,000 students, mostly Indian, line up for waiter servant job after advertisement by a new restaurant opening in Brampton. This is the news from Brampton. Now, moving forward, no job after graduation. Now, what is happening that if you get so many people, so many students flocking in for getting job, the entire job market crashes because there is not so much job, and those many jobs cannot be created in just a span of or just an overnight or just a fortnight. It's not possible. So many students going in there. Now, people are ready to work for like bare minimum wages, even lower than the basic minimum wage. Now, when that happens, the job market crashes, and that is what is happening in Canada. So people are not able to find job, and hence they are not able to sustain themselves in Canada. That is the real big problem. So you'll be able to see struggle is real. Grad student shares why it is difficult to get a job in Canada, says you got to keep trying your luck. Next is rising unemployment hits Canada's international students hard. Everywhere, this news is very famous. Everywhere you get this news that 15 and above population age 15 and above increased by 1.1 million in just 1 year. Can you just imagine? 11 lakhs. And Canada is not that populous country. So let me tell you, the population is pretty low. In India, the population is 150 crores. USA it's 35 crores. Canada is much lesser than USA also. So you can just imagine that if a country increases by 10%, if the population living in Canada is around 10 CR, say for example, I don't know the exact numbers, but if it is 10 CR and 1% population just increases in one year, that's a huge number, isn't it? Now, moving forward, roughly half of the new addition to this age group actively sought employment. Among those who did not look for work, only 54% were successful in finding a job. Only 54%. Rest 46% are unemployed. Now, immigrants who arrived in the last 5 years was 12.3%. Unemployment rate for the immigrants who arrived in last 5 years is 12.3%. Let me tell you, the unemployment rate in India, which is at a staggering high figure, it is around 10.6%. Can you just imagine? This is getting worse than India also in Canada. Canada, a country which was thought to be heavens for those people who are seeking luxurious life, those people who are seeking growth in their life. It was thought to be heaven, because if not US, then where? Then people used to think for Canada. But right now, Canada is having 12.3% of unemployment, where in India right now the unemployment is at 10.6%. Means India's job market is better than Canada. Can you just imagine this? Now, moving forward, this is rate more than double the unemployment rates for both Canadian-born individuals and immigrants who have been in Canada for over 10 years. Now, moving forward, so STEM courses, now see this part also. Students pursuing STEM courses compelled to do odd jobs for a substance after graduation. For instance, a 24-year-old guy from Sikandrabad with a master's in CS from University of Toronto. Let me tell you, University of Toronto is one of the top 5 colleges of Canada, and the best. You can assume University of Toronto as the IITs. So a student who has done master's in computer science from an IIT, He is working as a delivery agent. Can you just even imagine that? Have you ever seen this in India? I haven't seen it ever. But this is happening in Canada. A master's in computer science from University of Toronto is working as a delivery agent for making his needs meet. This is crazy. Now moving forward, reduced intake. So from this year onwards, government is taking a lot of steps, and government has reduced the intake, and government is not giving visas to even students, and hence every institutes, every colleges and universities in Canada have reduced their intake, especially Indian students intake. Especially Indian students intake have been reduced by far margin. Okay, now moving forward, this entire news has been covered by Business Standard, so you can check out that also. So 35% lower than previous years. Number of permits that has been granted is 35% lower. Canada is tightening its international student visa program to address the concern about misuse and ensure the system benefits the country's economy. That is the thing. Next is no PR and deportation. So now Canada has come up with one more new regulation, that Canada is not giving permanent residentship, which they were giving earlier. Not giving permanent residentship to anyone right now. Now, why am I saying this? It's not like anyone, but they have made the PR regulation so strict that it's almost impossible for anyone to take PR right now in Canada. And even they are deporting students, deporting people who does not have a valid visa or stay reason for in Canada. They are deporting them back to their home country. Now, what is the entire news? So entire news is that earlier, what was the rule? Courses less than 8 months, no stay back option was available. This was also valid even earlier also in Canada. Courses which were having a course duration of 8 months to 2 years, the stay back period used to be according to the course duration. Like if the course duration is of 1 year, you can stay there for 1 year for finding a job. If a course duration is of 2 years, you can stay there for 2 years. Now, if there is a course which is of 2 years or more than that, then the stay back period used to be 3 years, and that was the maximum stay back period in Canada. This used to be the rule in Canada. Now, students should apply for work permit within 3 months of the completion of your study program, and they used to get work permit. But now what has happened? After 1st November 2024, international students graduating from public college programs will no longer be eligible for a 3-year PGWP. This is postgraduate work permit. So what used to happen, that earlier Canada used to give this liberty to its students, that if you have completed a postgraduate or a degree from our country, we'll give you 3 years postgraduate work permit, and with that you can work in Canada for 3 long years. In between that, you can even apply for PR, permanent residentship in Canada, or you can seek for working visa in Canada, and both of which could have been easily achieved in Canada. But right now what they have done, that international students who are after 1st November, international students graduating from public colleges would not be able to get this PGWP. They are not eligible to get this PGWP anymore unless their work is linked to areas in high labor market demand. Like if there is any job sector where the demand of labor workforce or demand for workforce is very high, massively high. If you are working in that area, then only your PGWP would be accepted. Otherwise, it won't be accepted. And let's be honest that there are only 5 to 10% areas where the demand for labor or demand for the workforce is pretty high. There are only 5%, maximum 5% area is like that. But rest 90 to 95% area are those areas where the demand is not that high, like normal jobs, IT jobs, engineering jobs. The demand is not that great. So in those areas, anyone who has completed any degree from Canada would not be able to get this PGWP. So now what happens, that if the person is not able to get this PGWP, then what will happen, that within 3 months of the completion of study of the program, students should apply for work permit, but they would not be able to get the work permit. So in that scenario, the student has to get out of the country within 3 months. So now you have completed your degree from Canada, but you would be kicked out of the country after 3 months if you don't get a job in a high demand sector, which is practically not very possible. Now what happens? The next rule is that in order to qualify for the PR application, permanent residentship application, the applicants must have at least 12 months of work experience in Canada. So now what the government is saying, that after completion of your degree, if you are not employed in a high demand sector, I will kick you out after 3 months. And if you get kicked out after 3 months, you won't be having a 12-month work experience in Canada. And if you don't have a 12-month work experience in Canada, then you will not get a PR. So this means practically government has made all possible scenarios where you won't be able to get a PR in Canada. And because of this, what has happened that all those people who were even genuinely living in Canada, working for a long time or staying there for a long time for their degree, after completion of their degree, they had plans that I'll be staying in Canada and I'll be getting PR. Their entire plans have been shattered, and right now they will be also kicked out of the country. So current scenario that Canada is not accepting any PGWP application. They're not giving any PR, and even the student visas are on stake, and very less number of student visas are getting accepted. So this entire scenario, I am pretty sure you would be able to analyze the situation, that this entire scenario points out to only one fact, that it's not a good decision right now to go to Canada. Probably not, at least for next 2 to 3 years or 5 years, until the job market stabilizes in Canada and the immigrant population gets stabilized, gets rationalized there in Canada. Okay, now moving forward, living expenses versus average wage with part-time. So obviously, if a lot of people flock to any country in a very short period of time, the entire expense shoots up, because there are too many people demanding for the same services, and the services are constant, they are limited. So what has happened, that in Canada, the minimum wages is, according to government figures, this is 17.3 Canadian dollars. Although reported on ground that this wage is even lower than this. A lot of people have reported that they are not even getting even getting $10 per hour is a tough deal in Canada right now. Now moving forward, maximum working hours is 24 hours. People are working above this. So according to this calculation, you get somewhere around 1 lakh rupees per month, and hence 12 lakh rupees in a year. But what has happened to the services cost? Your accommodation cost have shotted up. Your grocery, your insurance, travel, average tuition fees, combining all of them, the minimum which you need to spend there is around 25 to 26 lakh rupees in a year. And this can even go to 35-36 lakh rupees in a year. But how much you are able to earn is 12 lakh rupees. And on top of this, government and universities and colleges have stopped all scholarship programs. Hardly people are able to get any scholarship in Canada, because the number of people or the number of students seeking degrees and opportunities there is way too high than expected. So no scholarship, no government support, and the prices are on the high. The opportunities to work there as a part-time is pretty low, and even further, after completing your degree, finding a job is next to impossible in Canada. So this entire thing is pointing out to only one fact, or to one final agenda, that going to Canada is not a good deal at all. Now finally, even the political disputes are on a high right now. So you would have heard a lot of news this year related to the Prime Minister of Canada accusing the Indian Prime Minister and the Indian people for XYZ things. And because of that, political tensions have risen between the two countries, because of which a major step that was taken, that Canada and India have fired the diplomats in their country. So Canada has fired the Indian diplomat, and India has fired the Canadian diplomats, because of which even India has stopped issuing visas to Canadian people, Canadian citizens. They have stopped issuing visa. Now, although Canada has not stopped issuing visas to India people, but very soon this can also happen. Canada can also stop issuing visa to Indian people, and that is why, again, if that happens, even if you are there, you will have to again come back to your home country. That will be a very emergency or alarming situation. So this has happened. Even the political tensions are on a rise right now. So now finally, the end of this entire conversation is that, is there any solution to this? Now, particularly if I talk about Canada, obviously the solution to this does not look like anything, because the problem is the real problem that a lot of people have gone into that country for which that country was not ready to. Now, if that many people are there, and if the country is not ready for that, the country does not have housing facilities, the proper amenities are not there, the supplies are not there, the food is not there, electricity and everything, the public transports, everything will fail down. So hence, That many people cannot be accommodated in that country, and that country has already shown signs for that, and they are retaliating. So the solution to this is that obviously Canada cannot be a good place for you to be. So what could be the good place? Now when I search the internet, I just write that who are the richest, like which are the richest countries of the world. I got the top 3 countries: Luxembourg, Singapore and Macau. Now, Luxembourg being a very beautiful country, a very prosperous country, the richest country according to per capita income in the entire world, a very good option for students to actually choose for. This is a country in Europe. Now, the second number comes to be Singapore, and the third number comes to Macau, which is a, Macau is a, you can say province or country in China, near China. Now, when I checked deeper, I found that Luxembourg, very sorry for the spelling is wrong. So Luxembourg is a very good option. But when I checked for Singapore and Macau, these two are not at all a good option. Why am I saying this? I'm just giving you some data. So they are obviously the richest countries of the world. But in Singapore, see, I'll tell you some data. So say for example, Madhya Pradesh is a state in India, you might be knowing. In Madhya Pradesh, the capital of the state, Madhya Pradesh capital of the state is Bhopal. Bhopal has a population density of 855 people per square kilometer. Okay. Now Delhi. When I take Delhi, Delhi has a population density of 11,300 people per kilometer square. So you can just very well imagine that how much stark difference there is, and Delhi is undoubtedly a very crowded place, very crowded place. Not a place to, like, where you can live very freely. Spaces are very small, prices are pretty high. So this is Delhi. Now, if you go to Singapore, the population density, you would be very amazed to know the population density is 12,000 people per square kilometer, even higher than Delhi. So now you can very well imagine that if a country which already has so high population density, will this country be able to attract more foreign or international immigrants? Obviously no, because there is no space there. Although the country is very rich, but it might be rich because of the existing population, but it does not offer so flexibility in welcoming new people, and especially students, because students obviously need to go to that place which country does have a very welcoming infrastructure for the new students to come and join. So obviously Singapore is not a country. Then I thought that Macau could be a good option. When I checked Macau, you would be amazed to know that this has got a population density of 24,000 people per kilometer square. Devastatingly high. So then I got to know this fact very easily, that you cannot just simply say that which are those countries which are the richest, they are the best. No, obviously no. Luxembourg, on the other hand, Luxembourg is a very beautiful option because it has got a population density of 263 people per kilometer square. Can you just imagine? A population of 7 lakh people, that's it. On the other hand, Delhi has got a population of somewhere around, if I'm not wrong, it has got a population of 13 CR, if I'm not wrong, 13 crore people. Although Singapore also has a population of 7 lakh people only. Not 7 lakh, sorry, Macau has a population of 7 lakh people only. But population density is here pretty high. So what I'm trying to say, the probable solution for this problem lies in finding those countries where the number of people, the population is low, the earning capacities are good, job market is flourishing. Those countries could be a good option. And if you need a video on that particular topic, because this needs a lot of research, as what I have already shown you here, that it's not simply the richest country of the world where you can go. Obviously, you need to pick and choose, and you need to see a lot of data. So if you need a video, a detailed video on that which are the most prosperous countries having least population or best infrastructure, best facilities there, you can just write it down in the comment box if you need a video on that, and I'll be happy making a video on that for you guys. Okay, so with that, people, ladies and gentlemen, that was all for this session. I hope you loved and enjoyed the session. If that is the case, do let me know in the comment box, and with this, I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Good night.